What's going on? Mr. B, Shades of Clarity channel. Hope you guys are doing well. Today's the 8th of July. It's a Monday. Yes, I know, Mondays. I get it. They can suck. What I'm going to talk about today is we're gonna be walking down the lanes of one of our old favorite streets. That's right, alcohol withdrawal. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it again because there was someone in the comments yesterday that had posted if I knew anything about it. Do I know anything about it? That's like asking the Pope if he knows anything about religion. But it's just, you know, we can start from the beginning of what happens. Sort of recap. I have an earlier video that I did. It's about to hit 10,000 views. I think that was my third or fourth video that I did when I started this channel on last New Year's Eve. And since then, it's sort of, I guess, at the bottom of my 116 videos or something, whatever I've done. So people may not see it. I know I can arrange them any way that I do. If I want to feature them, I can do that. But I don't know. I'd like people to go through all my videos. Just check them out. There's plenty of great content in there to be found. But what were we talking about? Oh yeah, alcohol withdrawal. Tends to begin, your blood alcohol level does not have to be a zero. Plenty of people start going into alcohol withdrawal, start getting the shakes before they get anywhere near zero. And usually people that have developed a high tolerance to ethanol, aka drinking alcohol. So what is it? Well, like I described in my previous video, it's a cluster of symptoms that comprise a syndrome. That's the AWS, alcohol withdrawal syndrome. It begins usually 6 to 12 hours after your last drink. If it's going to get any worse, it will proceed to, you'll get some sweats, tachycardia, your heart beat will start to increase, blood pressure increases. And those are like the two main things that really are dangerous, is heart rate and your blood pressure. And the possibility of seizures can happen within this time frame. Also, alcoholic hallucinosis. And that's can be a very, very scary situation, as some of us have described on our recovery channels. The two times that I've only had like one really bad cold turkey withdrawal, and because of the kindling effect, which I described in another video, as well as backcountry, he describes it in his, of being completely out of your mind. But usually the hallucinations, you're aware of where you are and you know you're hallucinating. It's a different animal than true delirium tremens or DT, which is the most severe form of alcohol withdrawal. It's fairly rare, around 40% mortality rate if it's not treated. If it is treated, it drops down to 15%. But it's a medical emergency, and if it's going to happen, that usually happens. It can happen up to 5 days. I've heard reports, and the science and literature support that it can be delayed. Also, if you've undergone surgery and they've used propofol to put you out, propofol is cross-tolerant with alcohol, so it may suppress those symptoms from coming on up to 5 days. You could go into the hospital for a procedure and go into alcohol withdrawal, and they may wonder, well, what in the world's wrong with this guy? You know, because upon presentation or when they're doing a medical history, they just leave off excessive alcohol use, or if they have alcohol use disorder, especially if they're drinking something like bourbon or vodka, 80 proof liquor or higher daily. Then when they stop, they're going to have some symptoms, more than likely, probably about 85 to 90% of the time. And that's without the kindling effect, which I didn't get back to, but that is when you've had repeated withdrawals, especially unmedicated withdrawals, using something like a benzodiazepine, like diazepam, which is Valium, lorazepam, which is Ativan, or chlorodiazepoxide, which is Librium. If they haven't given you, if you've never been medically withdrawn using a benzodiazepine or something like phenobarbital, those unmedicated withdrawals are really just batters the living hell out of your central nervous system, your GABA receptors. It just turns your dopamine, everything just goes all completely out of whack. So if you're ever going to have surgery, and I'll preface this by saying I'm not a licensed medical provider, please, if you're discussing quitting, make sure that you discuss it with your family practitioner, doctor, physician's assistant, and so on. Make sure that you talk to them and tell them that you want to quit. You may be a candidate if the drinking is not too heavy or too bad. They might be able to push to do an outpatient detox. I've had that happen before. But the stages of alcohol withdrawal, you got your sweats. That can give an alcoholic hallucinosis, like I talked about. You hallucinate, may feel like bugs are on your skin, or you may visually see things. I've seen some really crazy stuff, and I had alcoholic hallucinosis. I don't know if I mentioned it twice, but that's also contained in that other video. Usually that's pretty harmless. You can feel perfectly okay, like I did. Crux of the withdrawal had not kicked in yet, and this was in a treatment center. The cold turkey withdrawal was bad. The first day wasn't bad. The second day, not so bad. The third day, I was heading toward, I made an appointment to see the doctor, or my PA at the time, and he wouldn't give me anything for it. And I was having high blood pressure. I couldn't sleep. The insomnia is god awful with this stuff. You won't be able to sleep. I couldn't eat. I was not hungry at all. I think I went 4 or 5 days without eating. Just the sight of food just made me want to retch. I mean, it was. That's one of the main things about alcohol withdrawals. You don't want to eat. And eating is good if you feel like you can eat. Sweets are good for alcohol withdrawal. I used to have a guy in AA that swore by Caro syrup, that and tomato juice. That was just like his magical cocktail for alleviating alcohol withdrawal outside of going to a hospital. But sweets are good, things like this, Mallow Cup. I just happen to have, there's a neighbor that gets these things at the on base, PX, and he just gives them to me for whatever reason. Get mellow or get the hell out. This is not official commercial. I am not sponsored by Mallow Cup. But back to the alcohol withdrawal, if you can make it through the first 3 days without it progressing, then you're usually going to be okay. It gradually takes about 5 to 7 days to complete the withdrawal. You'll feel a lot better in a treatment facility if you do choose that route, because they'll medicate you with, like I said, the benzodiazepines or phenobarbital, something like that. It'll make you feel a whole lot better. And then if you're going to stay for the rest of the treatment, 28 to 36 days, it could be, depending on insurance, depending on what you got. I've got Blue Cross, so that's good and bad, because the place I used to go to is notorious for wanting to, in some cases it's good because they pretty much cover everything, so it's a blank check. You can stay about as long as you want. I know a person there that stayed 111 days, one guy 3 months. Except getting to the phones is, in treatment, this particular place is tough, because they won't let, even detox, they won't let you use the phone. You got to be there 4 days and you have to attend 80% of the meetings. Write your name down. Mr. B. On your 4th day, you can make a phone call, but they watch and they read. It's transcribed out on the screen, so they keep it pretty tight rein. The last place I went to, they let us use our cell phones, and that's unheard of. You know, they would tape everything up, you know, your microphone, everything to comply with HIPAA laws, but you could use it. But the withdrawal, I'm the scaredy cat. I'm the little mouse. I'm afraid of withdrawal. And people should be afraid of withdrawal, but I have ended up in a treatment center, I think I said in my last video, where I left AMA against medical advice because I hadn't drank long enough, and I hadn't drank enough to warrant a withdrawal. And I was scared, and in my mind I had already started withdrawal, so I went up there. Next day I felt okay. I didn't feel shaky or anything. No sights, nor sounds, nor tactile hallucinations, cockroaches on my body. So I'm like, look, I'm just taking up a bed. I'm not going to go into withdrawal. Can I go? You know, so they said, yeah, that's fair enough. And I don't think it'll hurt my insurance. I've only done it once. I felt like doing it many times, even when I did go through withdrawal. And I found actually phenobarbital works a lot better for me than benzodiazepines. It can become what's called refractory to benzodiazepines, meaning it just doesn't work. I mean, they take a guy into the hospital, he's admitted, you know, because maybe the doctor, he scored high on the CWA test, a little thing that's administered. It was never given to me when I went to the hospital. But it's like a scale of 1 to 10, how severe this is, you know, how's your heart rate, you feel palpitations, are you hearing things, seeing things, you know, it'll be alcoholic hallucinosis, and, you know, finally, you know, how are you shaky, and then they use that as criteria as to whether they're going to admit you or not. So that hospital had pretty good food. But just the severity of alcohol withdrawal depends on, you know, how much you've been drinking and for how long. So I would say for the average person, you'd probably have to drink like a fifth a day for 2 weeks, and you're going to have probably some kind of withdrawal. Most likely minor, especially if you're not alcoholic or have had your brain kindled. You know, that kindling effect really, it causes my symptoms to be so intense, unmedicated, so intense within such a short amount of time, and I don't have to drink that much. And that's one reason that this last trip through the sober mill, getting me sober, I was in bad shape when I got to the place in Raleigh. Shaky, could not eat, hadn't eaten in 4 days, something like that, lost some weight. And it took probably 3 days before, and I know about 5 days for me drinking 3 of those. I mean, it sounds like a silly amount, maybe like a bottle and a half of wine a day for 5 days. And especially if I stop eating, man, I know I'm in trouble at that point. And then it's off to detox. What do I know? I'm not a medical professional. I know nothing about any of this. I'm an unreliable source for a lot of this information. Don't believe a word I say. No, I'd listen to myself. I need to listen to me. Nobody listens to me. Why don't they listen to me? I'm not listening to myself. I'm listening to myself now, doing this video. There's a difference between paying attention and listening. Two together, I think, are paramount to recovery. Especially in AA, you know, take the cotton out of your ears and stick it in your mouth. You know, shut the hell up and listen. And I went back to AA, and I think I'm going to do a video on that. But I'm still getting my head back together. But as far as the withdrawal, it wasn't this bad, that bad. I felt bad, probably because my blood sugar was low. I hadn't eaten anything. Like, I had these mallow cups. Those things were, and the snacks they had weren't all that good either. I mean, they could have been better, for sure. But you got like cold sandwiches, like turkey and cheese, ham and cheese at night with bags of Doritos or Lay's, some kind of chip. So if you didn't like what they had, and plus I was taking Ensures in case I didn't like what they had to serve, I still wanted to get calories. But you gotta ask the doctor straight up when you get there, is it okay if I have Ensures? And they'll either approve it, or, you know, if you're regular weight or overweight, they won't give them to you. The stuff is expensive, and they just don't want to throw it away on somebody that doesn't need it. So, you know, you need to be thin like I am. Then you'll end up being able to get them. But, you know, there are plenty of people. I've seen people have seizures from alcohol withdrawal, even though they're medicated. That's what I kind of can't figure out. It is dangerous, and it can progress. The administration of the administering of the medication, whether it be a benzo or phenobarbital, will arrest the progression of the alcohol withdrawal, so it doesn't escalate in severity. That's why all withdrawals should be medically treated. Cold turkey, no. That's my no face. No, don't. Don't do it. Make sure you talk to your doctor before you even attempt doing this, and they will advise you on what you need to do. But you know, it can be a terrifying experience, especially if you don't want repeated withdrawals. Unmedicated withdrawals is bad for the whole neurochemistry of your body. It throws all your, all that repressed and down-regulated GABA, you know, and you just get flooded with all the norepinephrines and the cortisols and the adrenalines and things that just ramp up your whole system. That's what causes the alcohol withdrawal in the first place, is the down-regulation of the GABA and the upregulation of the excitatory neurotransmitters. And the same goes for benzodiazepines and the barbiturates. Those are the three substances that can kill you. It'll be one being alcohol, two being benzodiazepines, and three being barbiturates. And they don't really prescribe the barbs anymore because of overdose liability and abuse potential. And you couldn't find a doctor from coast to coast, the East Coast to the West Coast, that would probably prescribe any kind of barbiturate like phenobarbital. I know people that have gotten prescriptions because they're epileptic and are refractory because of to the benzos. So, but those are highly addictive. Kill Marilyn Monroe, although they say the mob had a hand in that one. Apparently it was a rectal suppository. Oof, this gives me the creeps. Sedative hypnotics. That's the class of drugs that alcohol and benzos and barbiturates are a part of. And those are the most dangerous. And alcohol probably being, because it's socially acceptable, you can buy it at any, you know, on base, the military installation that I live around, you could walk into what they call a 7-day store, convenience store, gas station, and you got liquor in there. And I think I remember we were going to play golf there one time when I was actively drinking, and it was a Sunday morning, and you walk right in there because it's federal. You know, it's not subject to North Carolina state law. Walk right in there at 7 a.m., midnight, Doesn't matter. After 2, doesn't matter. You can buy it. But we bought alcohol before we went and played. I think we were drinking screwdrivers or something while we were playing. I'm not normally, liquor is not my drink of choice. But you drink enough, and it seems like all drugs, addictive substances have a built-in penalty. That's your withdrawal. Marijuana is one of those strange drugs that doesn't. I mean, you can have a psychological withdrawal, but there isn't a physical withdrawal syndrome. Same thing with cocaine. I've seen people come in for cocaine addiction or crack addiction in a treatment center, and they don't give them anything. They may give them something like Withdrawal, which is basically a high-powered antihistamine for sleep and anxiety, but they don't give them any type of benzo or phenobarbital, anything like that. But the built-in penalties for drinking too much is a hell of a damn withdrawal. Especially if you've been through it before, you're likely to go through it again with a higher sensitivity. I'm telling you. If you're trying to stop drinking, speak to your doctor or go to the hospital if you just can't hold on, you don't think you're going to make it. Or you start seeing or hearing things, go to the emergency room. Or dial 911. They'll take care of you. And once you get there, they'll assess you, see what the severity is, probably give you something like Ativan to calm you down, and I've had that happen before. And I've been mentioned that they sent me home twice with a Librium prescription, and that's rare. They usually think you're taking up hospital beds, and like another YouTuber has said in his video, I mean, is it a moral failure? Do they really look down on alcoholics? And I think they do, because if they know you're alcoholic, you may need something, and you'll say, nurse, I need, they just walk right by, like they don't even, the ER is just, it can be a good place and a horrible place. And if you're a damn alcoholic, it seems like the beat you just shit on in there. Because they view it as a moral failure or weakness and not a disease. And it's classified as a disease because of the disconnect between midbrain and the hippocampus. Your midbrain controls, things like hunger and sex drive. That starts ruling your life. That's why you end up in the prefrontal cortex is your reasoning, where the rational decision making starts. It originates there. It's just insane what you'll do to stave off the withdrawal. But I think I've yapped enough. I think you think I've yapped enough too. I think I've yapped enough. It's good being back. I'm glad to be back on YouTube. I'm glad to have come clean. I didn't want to make that video that I made, but I try to keep it honest, keep it real. You just got to be transparent. That's what this is all about. Honesty, getting honest with yourself. If you don't drink, you don't have to go through withdrawal. And I've just reached the end of the line. I can't do it anymore. It's just become too damaging, just too absolutely just obliterating any progress in my life as long as I pick a drink. I assure you this is coffee. But anyway, you guys take it easy, my friends. Take it easy. Stay tuned. And I'll see you later.